Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's over my shoulder. She'll come into shot shortly. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love, the people that you love doing them with. Happy Fridays to you guys. Happy Fridays. Weather's quite ominous. I feel like I might get rained on. But we move on anyway. And that is maybe the metaphor for the Harry Kane saga. Here comes Bugsy. What's happening, Bugs? The news is out. Harry Kane's future is maybe, hopefully, going to be decided today. Daniel Levy and his consortium are allegedly meeting with Bayern Munich and theirs once again in London, and a third bid is expected. Around 100 million euros is the purported fee, which is about 85 million pound. Now, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I've been saying for, I don't know, best part of a year that I think is the number where you get to the dance floor and you start to properly negotiate. Now, the rumours are that every other meeting between the two clubs with regards Harry Kane, that Daniel Levy's never actually officially given a number. And look, the English media are still presenting this narrative that all three options are on the table. Harry Kane might sign a new contract, but it won't happen this summer. That he might run down the contract and leave for free, or that he might be sold this year, this summer, right now. Bayern Munich are the obvious outstanding favourites for the signature. PSG are loitering in the background and are willing to pay more money, allegedly, than Bayern can afford. But Harry Kane doesn't have the same desire to go to Paris as he does to Munich. We shall see. The one takeaway I do want to talk about, guys, is, you know, I was giving Christian Falk and all the Bayern media, PR jungle, people like the Build, I was giving them a bit of a hard time, you know, assuming that it was all just part of the PR bandwagon. It was all part of their way to unsettle Harry Kane. And of course it was, but I think when you think back to all of the random stories that we've seen about meetings with barbecues at people's houses and everybody and their dog was invited and we kind of dismissed that. Harry Kane's missus going to look at houses in Bavaria and we kind of dismissed that. All of these little things that sounded nonsensical, but ultimately on the big things, when it comes to meetings, they were early, and Fabrizio Romano came in with his Tommy Tappin at the end and confirmed it. And so it leads you to think, well, if they were right about the bigger stuff, they were maybe right about the smaller stuff too, which, to be honest, leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth around Harry Kane and his brother and father's behaviour over this whole saga and ordeal. Look, it was never going to go down well, losing him. It's always going to leave a bit of a bitter taste in our mouth. However, I do think over the last week or so, I've seen a bit of a tidal change in the acceptance of this story playing out the way it looks like it's going to by everybody in the Tottenham community online. Every panel that I'm in, I keep an eye on the comments. And I think that it used to be 50-50, sell him, keep him, run him down. The money, Champions League money will cover the majority of it. It's worth the risk, whatever. Now I think 95% of people are of the energy that it's okay. If you love him, let him go. We'll wish him well. And maybe he'll come back in a couple of years. I do think we're going to get some news out over the rest of the day with whether there's been a breakthrough or not. I'm not sure Daniel Levy will jump at 85 million pound. I've said before, I think if you have a pound sign with a 9 handle, 90 something, plus some add-ons, then I think you have to really shake hands and get it done early. Don't drag this out any longer. With 2 weeks to go, we still have 2 centre-backs we need to sign. I think And I think a lot of people do as well. We need a number 6. And I'd even make the argument that to really feel entirely confident, we could do with a better right back. I don't expect us to do anything in the right back situation. We've just signed Pedro Porro. We just signed Jed Spence. And really, we've only just had Emerson Royale not that long. So we're overstacked in that position. I just don't think any of them are perfect fits. But I think we're going to have to make do, if I'm entirely honest, for now. Maybe we'll see what we're at in January, or maybe that's a next summer issue. But 2 centre-backs and a defensive midfielder. And even without Harry Kane, I am confident that we will do okay this season. We need that money in. If we can also get the Pierre Højbjerg money in, which came out yesterday in some reports saying Tottenham are looking for 42 million euros for him, which is about £37 million. I'm not sure Atletico Madrid will pay all of that unless they can find a buyer for someone like João Felix. I'm not sure if they've got the financial capacity for it, but if we could find a buyer at, say, 37 million euros, which would be about £32 million, then I think we can shake hands and say goodbye to Pierre Højbjerg, a wonderful servant. You know, the greatest selling point for him is availability, and you move on. He doesn't fit the system. Someone that absolutely does is Franck Kessie. And you know what, guys? There's a lot of players coming out of Italy right now that also might fit the system. Franck Kessie was going to leave Barcelona and go to Juventus. Juventus are looking to sell someone like Manuel Locatelli. Locatelli only has just joined Juventus from Sassuolo for, I think, 30 million, which was like I think it was like a season-long loan or an agreed deal from before, and they stayed at Sassuolo. He's gone to Juve, but he might be surplus to requirements. I would happily take Manuel Locatelli. I would happily take Franck Kessie, and the Juve media this morning are all saying that Franck Kessie actually would rather press pause on his move to Juventus for 23 million, and he would rather prefer to go to Tottenham or to go to the Premier League. And the argument is he's already played in Serie A, he's already done well in Serie A. This might be his last chance to move to the Premier League, where he can get more money. And Tottenham is a team that have always shown interest in him, and that he'd be willing to come and join, because I think he would get minutes competing in the short term with Bissouma and Pape Sarr for the 6. But ultimately, when everyone's fit and Bentancur's back fit again, I think that if you did have a better 6 in there, I think he could make that position his own and really help secure that role just in front of the back 2 or the back 4, however you want to think of it. We still need those centre backs, guys, and more links again this morning emerging for Roger Ibanez. Look, there are still a lot of centre backs out there that are very talented players. Castello Luqueba hasn't moved yet. He's a very, very talented left-footed, left-sided centre back. But apart from the usual links to Clement Longley, if Edmund Tapsoba and Mickey van der Ven are really dead, then with Tosin Adarabioyo looking like he's moving to Monaco, I feel like we're kind of back to the square one, back to the drawing board a little bit with this situation. And that is why it's so important to get the Harry Kane saga out of the way. We don't have enough minds, enough hands, enough eyes on everything that's going on. We haven't got a director of football, at least officially. We haven't even got a chief footballing officer in place. Daniel Levy's probably a little bit distracted by what's happening with Joe Lewis, alongside a million other things. We've only brought in 3 players and got rid of 1. There's too much to do, too little time to do it. The Harry Kane thing needs to be kind of put to bed as quickly as possible and move on. Morning. And move on. Use the money and then go and just get some players in. And like I said before, I don't think that Harry Kane fits the Postecoglou system in the 9, guys. I think his natural instinct is to play the false 9 and pull back to the edge of the area, whereas the 9 in the Postecoglou system needs to get to the byline, pull players in that direction and leave space for one of the eights, the Hatate or the Matt O'Reilly role in Celtic. In this case, it would be the James Maddison or the Bissouma role or the Bentancur role, to be able to finish their dinner. I think that it fits Richarlison much better than it fits Harry Kane. I genuinely think that there's not a single person alive who wants Harry Kane to move to Bayern Munich more than Richarlison. Allow him to kickstart his career. And like I've said 100 times, I'm not a massive fan of the player. I'm a big fan of the person. And I hope he does well at Tottenham. I'd love to be wrong, because if it benefits Tottenham, then put me in the mud. But I will stand by my statement that I expect him to do far better this year than any other year of his career, because I think the system will suit him wonderfully well. So I wouldn't even worry necessarily about having to save some of that money, the Harry Kane money, and looking for a big number 9 to replace him with. There are arguments to go after an Ivan Toney in January, and maybe we can deal with that bridge when we come to it. But for now, we need that money and the Højbjerg money, and hopefully the money for Sanchez or any of the other players that we're going out. We need to get these things moving, guys, and we need to get 2 centre-backs. And I think Franck Kessie, if he's available and we can steal that transfer, I think it would be a really smart bit of business. I'm also very keen on Zubimendi from Sociedad, Ibrahim Sangare from PSV, or Locatelli from Juventus. Any of those 4 would fill me with confidence far more than I currently have about the 6. And then centre-backs, centre bloody backs. Let me know your thoughts, guys. That's it from me. If there is something that updates regarding Harry Kane as the day goes on, you'll either see another walkies or you might see a live stream. Like, subscribe and comment, guys, and as always, bye bye.